Let's talk first about Michigan here. I mean, LSU was a really good team, and
Yeah.
Michigan really had to battle the other night. When Isaiah Livers went down, I wasn't sure exactly how far this Michigan team would go. What's your impression of what Juwan Howard has been able to do there, and how good this Michigan team is?
Well, first of all, I mean, Jawan is a very good friend of mine. We played together at the Houston Rockets. Okay. And he's been, prepped and primed for what he's doing now in Michigan. Unfortunately, he didn't get his shot I think he deserved in the NBA, but maybe his calling was to go back to his alma mater and continue the legacy and winning ways of, right behind John Beilein. So first of all, happy, but not surprised that how his impact has immediately brought success to the program. And I was the same way, thinking that LSU would be a really tough game for Michigan without Isaiah Livers. Especially when you have an injury late in the season, it's harder to make that adjustment because you don't have enough time to practice and get guys comfortable playing different roles, especially when it's your leading scorer. But I tell you, Jawan's game plan against a very, very competitive, athletic LSU team paid off. So, you got through that one. Now you got another tough task coming up in the Sweet 16, but couldn't be more happy for Juwan and those young men, at Michigan.
I think every year that Juwan is at Michigan, the question is going to come up every single year: is he going to leave to go take an NBA job? I mean, it's going to be inevitable.
But why would that be? Because when he was there in Miami, that wasn't a question. I mean, in regards to him getting a job, you know what I mean? So it's kind of,
sure.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because when he was in the NBA, his name was never really brought up as a viable candidate for a job, So we'll see. And I know Juwan is loving it right now. I know he's having a blast, mentoring, teaching, coaching those young men. I know he just focused on trying to get a national championship.
Yeah, and that's I think the lines I was going on is it doesn't seem like money has never seemed like it's a concern for him. He seems to love what he's doing at Michigan. Is that the vibe that you get from him?
Well, it's a sense of pride too, because he played there, wasn't able to get a national championship as a player, but I know damn sure he wants to get one as a coach and for those young men. So his passion has been honed, his craft has been honed, but the times that he spent, as an assistant coach in Miami. And he's brought a lot of that structure, discipline to Michigan. Just accountability, and the life lessons, the structure, all that stuff. And the young men will benefit from that in the short term because they'll be successful in regards to winning basketball, but in the long term, those life lessons will be more valuable.
I want to ask you about the Big Ten. It's been a big topic of conversation with the struggles of the Big Ten in the tournament. What do you think is the biggest reason that the Big Ten has not had the success when everybody thought they were the best conference going into the tournament?
Well, first of all, it's all about matchups. End of the day, I don't care what conference you're in. Matchups dictate a lot of times the outcome. Just like styles, in boxing, dude may be bigger, stronger, but if his style is different than his opponents, it doesn't match up well. Well, maybe the guy that's not strong but has more technique wins the fight. And it's unfortunate, but that's the beauty of having the one game scenario too. Anything can happen. Now, unfortunately, I thought Rutgers really had their game down the stretch. I think, kind of gave it up. That was a game that, Rutgers should have advanced in. But, that's the tournament. You have a 2 to 3 minute stretch where you're not playing well. In particular, when you're a lower seeded team, the pressure now shifts on you. And, a team that has confidence that's hung around will win. And, but that's been the topic of conversation. It's valid. Because we haven't won a title since Michigan State has won one. Was it back in 2000? I believe it was. So that narrative will continue to surface unless something changes this year with, Michigan.
This tournament has been, I think, highlighted by so many upsets in lower seeded teams, and I think it was a record number in the round of 32. Teams like Oral Roberts and teams like Abilene Christian and things like
Yeah.
that. When you're calling games or when you're sitting there, what is that like to experience some of those lower seeded teams? And do you still get the same level of excitement even after all these years of watching basketball to see something like that happen?
Oh yeah, because it's fresh and new, because it's a new set of faces that are doing it. So that gives you the excitement when when we get an opportunity to be there and you see the benches and those young men just going crazy as the game gets closer to nearing the end, and they're the team that's up ahead and winning. I mean, you can't do anything but get excited and love that, because it's fresh and it's new. It's not like it's the same team every year. You know what I mean? This is the excitement is there. For one, for those young men just dreaming about being in the tournament. One, you can see the excitement when they're in the layup line, just beaming with joy. But then as the game gets going and they find their confidence, you can really see it. And then once it's over, now it's a catch-22, because it's the ending of some young men's career too on the other side. So it's the balance between the two. The excitement over here you feel for this team that's wanted, that what nobody expected, but then the ending maybe for this team over here and what that feeling is like. 'Cause I've been on that side of it, not being upset by a Cinderella, but the finality of it all is is emotional. So you got those two things going on at the same time when you're calling a game.
I noticed, the last thing I'll ask you about, I noticed the other day you mentioned something about Zia Cooke actually on the broadcast, a Toledo kid playing
Yep.
in the women's tournament. How much can you appreciate what Zia has been able to do coming from Toledo as well?
Zia may be the best basketball player to ever come out of Toledo. She accomplished so much. Think about it. I mean, she accomplished so much during her career at Rogers. And now what she's doing on the college level, I mean, they really got a chance. I mean, UConn is tough, of course. But I mean, to see her be able to excel and be successful and give herself a chance to win a national championship with who arguably is probably behind Gino or Emma, Don Staley, one of the best out there. I mean, in particular when she played. And you can ask for a better coach from a point guard perspective, but to play for Dawn. You know what I mean? That's where you learn really how to not just play the game, but think the game. And just so happy for her and her family that they can enjoy it too, her success, and hopefully they make a long run and win it.
How much Toledo pride do you still have? Like when you see a kid from Toledo that gets those accolades, how cool is that for you still?
Well, it's great because I mean, it's not New York, Detroit, Chicago, LA, Dallas. It's not the big city, but when somebody comes out of the city, I don't care what it is. I don't care what sport. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what sport it is, or if it's just, it could be in theater, it could be in movie, it could be education. You always feel a sense of pride when someone from your hometown is able to be successful, able to impact, the world that we live in, whether that's through sports or whatever it may be. It's always a sense of pride from that perspective.